Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by Opill, the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill available in the U.S. Opill is FDA-approved, full prescription strength, and estrogen-free. Plus, there's no prescription needed. Finally, the days of needing a prescription for birth control are over. Opill is available online and at most major retailers. Take control of your health and reproductive journey with Opill. Birth control in your control. Use code BIRTHCONTROL for 25% off your first month of Opill at Opill.com.
Is it time to reimagine your future? The right business skills may make a difference in your career. At Capella University, we offer a relevant education that's designed to focus on what you need to know in the business world. We'll teach professional skills to help you pursue your goals, like business management, strategic planning, and effective communication. And you can apply these skills right away. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writings of your favorite novels. This winter, we're hosting a book club while we prepare for our 10-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy, and each week we'll discuss one book from our Winter Book Club roster. By using our literary background, we'll provide our flash analysis of each book, as well as discuss listener thoughts.
This is part one of this week's episode where we're discussing Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Okay, I just finished the book 10 minutes ago. I have so many feelings. I immediately texted Amy and I was like, how fast can you get on? Like, let's
do it.
I can't not live like this.
Okay, so since you just finished it, why don't you start with your first impression?
Well, let's do as we always do. Let's preface this. You and I have only read the first book, and we listened to this on Audible. So do with that as you may.
Yes. Do you want to start? Yeah. Do you want to start the way we did the last book, which was describe this book in 10 words or less? Or maybe describe your feelings in 10 words or less.
I'm mad that we have more Winter Book Club books.
10. Good job.
Yeah, that's exactly 10. As it was like winding down, I'm like, I'm really mad. I'm really mad that we have like, how many more books do we go? We have 5 more books we have to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I want more. And I'm just sitting here not happy about it.
I understand. When I finished reading this book, the 6 Audible credits I had been saving up for Winter Book Club, didn't even think about it. Just went and got all the next books. And I was like, oh, crap. I was supposed to
If
save
it wasn't
those.
you, it was going to be me. Like, I would have bought all of them. No, I enjoyed this book so much. And if I was going to do a different 10 words, let's see if I can get this, I would say that's 2 words. A political and emotional slow burn that leads to ultimate payoff.
We're assuming slow burn and payoff are one word each, right?
It is one word each. Hyphens. Okay, you.
I know. Okay, my 10 words. And mind you, I've listened to 2 books since this one. So I'm a little more displaced from my experience. But I would say confused girl meets confused hot fae. Why no sexy time?
Our 10 words as this book club goes on is just gonna be like writing boy, girl, bone now.
We're gonna be like cave people.
You bone now. This book is, you know what? Talk about the perfect just like title. It's Spark of the Everflame, and it is the most slow burn of slow burns. And it's not just a slow burn of romance. It's a slow burn of plot as well.
Yeah. I think in some ways this is a lot of setup.
Yeah.
Right. Just like we experienced with Trial of the Sun Queen, Spark of the Everflame is a setup book. I enjoyed the setup process.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like any of it needed to be cut. I felt like every moment that we saw was essential.
Absolutely. It is. My brain is all over the place. So let's just start with the world, maybe. The world is a world that, in the sense of like grand fantasy, we're used to, right? We got magical beings, we got humans. I appreciate that they're not gods or fae, you know? I like that they're something other. And then you have humans, right? I think that the world is unique. The world has I mean, there's obviously info dump because like, it's a fantasy book, you have to have info dump. But at the same time, there is so much to the world we don't know about. Other rulers, other systems, other class systems, other types of magic. Why is it why is it that the different countries or different kingdoms have different types of magic? Do they have different gods in each area? So I think just entering this book and then kind of coming into it of like, okay, so this is a fairly unique, I mean, again, unique in the sense like it's all fantasy, so we all like it's all kind of similar, but it's fairly unique from what we've experienced with other books.
I would definitely say compared to other books with fae in them, this is set apart in my mind.
Agreed.
Right? Because normally a hybrid or mixed blood individual, like what's their name? What are the non-fae called? What are the fae but they're not fae called?
Halflings? Or are you talking about in this book?
Yeah, in this book.
It's been a while since I've read it. Did they have a name?
Yes. Henry, let me look it up really fast.
Okay. No, they're halfling. They're not halflings, they're halfborns.
Because the kindred are the gods.
Yeah, and then it's not like divergence or
it's descended. That's what it is. Descended. It was a D word. Okay. So this is the first time I feel like we've seen the lifting up of these halfling species, or the descended in this case.
Yeah.
Where the fae don't exist, but the descended are part fae. They are mixed human and fae, which is unique. Usually the mix of human fae is looked down upon. Think of Bryce Quinlan in House of Sky and Breath. So I really enjoyed that mix, and how humans aren't in a completely separate world. They are a separate class. So I liked the play of that. I liked that. I think that Cole did a really, really good job introducing us to the descended through the eyes of someone who's been sheltered from them. Now, throughout the course of the book, we understand why her mother kept her away from the descended. It was a really good trick, because you have to introduce a character who already lives in this world to something they're unfamiliar with, which is
hard.
Really convenient.
Yeah, it's convenient, but it's also like, it's part of the plot. It's
Yeah.
like, the fact that she doesn't know, it's not this, like, unbelievable thing that you're just like, "Oh my god," like, you're telling me that this one person wouldn't understand, and I like that at the
Mhm.
very end, Henry lays it out for you, for the reader,
Mhm.
and he says, "Your dad's a general, they were gonna leave him alone, your mom never wanted anything with you to do with them, you've been sheltered."
Mhm.
And why has she been sheltered? Because her mom knows what's going on. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't know what her mom knows, but
Yeah.
her mom knows something, which then means her dad knows something
Mhm.
or can, knows to, like, avoid. And rather than just being a weird thing, it's like it just enhances the plot. It adds the layer of mystery. Why is it that she doesn't know?
Right. Right. And what makes it so dangerous for her to uncover that information?
Mhm. Yeah. Oh my god. I'm I'm all revved up, so you might have to take lead on, like, the direction because 'cause I'm just like, so many thoughts, so many things, and feelings.
Maybe let's start with a reader comment on something that was good.
Okay, yeah, let me do that. That's the direction. That's the drive I need.
You know what? Never mind. Never mind.
No,
I
okay.
know the direction we're going to go.
Okay.
And I'm sure we have listener comments on this. Since you brought him up, let's start with Henry,
Mhm. Mhm.
the established first love, best friend since children. They, not necessarily the first time, each other's firsts, but each other's first loves, maybe.
Yeah.
And that they both had sexual experiences before coming together. I'm talking about
Mhm.
Diem and Henry. So, what was your first impression of Henry, and did that evolve over time?
Yeah, I think we again, something that authors have to fight against, go into books being prepared. Sarah J. Maas ruined us all. Trust nothing is our attitude.
Mhm.
And we know we're like, this isn't the main guy, especially when there's like a hot descendant prince somewhere that,
Yeah.
I don't believe him. What I do think that Cole did really well is making us like Henry. I think that okay, Amy does not agree. I do
Please
love
keep
how
going.
all you did was slightly smirk. I know. I'm like, "Oh, she is angry at me." So I'm not gonna walk away being like I'm pro Henry. He reminds me of, which it won't mean anything to you because you were in China and you didn't watch Gilmore Girls, but he reminds me of Dean from Gilmore Girls, who is Rory's like first love. And initially, you're like, there's no complaints. Like, he's a nice
Mm,
guy. He's really into her. He wants to protect her. And then as you kind of look back, you're just thinking, oh, no, no, wait a minute. There's some red flags there. There are some things
mm,
that you might not agree with. But at the same time, there were enough qualities that I understand why DM would love him,
mhm,
even though
mhm.
she never did.
Right, right. She was afraid of commitment.
Yeah. What about you? So you wanted to spit on his grave. As far as we know, he's
Oh,
alive, but uh,
I very early and very easily disliked him.
I'm waiting for a male character that you've liked so far in this, because even with the deer in the last one, you're like, no, don't like him, don't trust him.
Well, the difference though is that Nadir is probably Lore's mate in Trial of the Sun
Yeah,
Queen,
yeah.
whereas
Henry, we're not
here
made to love him.
we're not supposed to love Henry.
Hmm.
And I think there were red flags very early on, especially during their trip to deliver whatever mail in Forsyth. I don't remember the name of the kingdom,
Yeah.
but I just saw the red flags very early and I was like, I
What
don't
are
like
some
this kid.
What are some red flags if you remember?
One of the first ones for me was him diminishing her sensing that there was a wolf.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really big. But even before that, I didn't necessarily like him. I can't remember off the top of my head why, but that solidified it for me
Hmm.
that I'm like, you can't diminish your partner's feelings or thoughts or concerns. And DM, in her own way, is a little naive,
Yeah.
and that's a nice way of putting it. Others might call her stupid, right? She doesn't deduce a lot of things about herself very quickly, and that's fine given the context of how sheltered she's been. But that does not give Henry permission
Mhm.
to constantly put her down for her naivety, which she did not choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanna bookmark the conversation. I wanna come back to that, and I wanna go back to one of the things you said where, maybe we believe the people when they say that they've experienced something, like a knock at their door at 2:45 in the morning.
I never said I didn't believe you.
For context, last night, I'm pretty sure a ghost knocked on my door and did dun 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 dun, dun but like in a slow way. And I'm just saying, it's true. Okay, back to what you were saying. Yeah, I think that Henry is the perfect example of a first boyfriend and a first
Mm,
love.
yeah.
He is the kind of guy that, the red flags are there, but even in that example of the wolf, right? He doesn't believe her, but he also supports her by saying, "No, it was there." Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? So you can kind of almost justify it. I wasn't, don't but like you can almost justify it of saying like, "Well, he's not telling her you imagine the whole thing. He's actually comforting her, saying and empowering her by saying, "No, no, you are right. It was there. You're okay." So, I mean, I'm just, like there was just enough things in there
Yeah.
to I never got the Henry is evil vibe, and I don't think that he's evil. I think that he's washed up on a radical side of politics there.
Right, I think he's a zealot on
Yeah,
his side of the politics. Not that that's and I say that in a really demeaning way, but I understand that he's fighting for his rights and the rights of people like him. I get that.
absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, let's kind of go into the politics since we're kind of like leading the conversation, but especially I love where at the end of the book, DM points out that she has Henry who believes what he's doing is going to help humans, and her
Mhm.
dad who's doing the absolute opposite thing, but fully believing that he's going to help humans.
Yep.
And both not being right. Like both of them are just, it's there to hurt people. And she doesn't have an answer. It's not like she's coming in and saying, if we all just hold hands and get along. It's like, I don't have an answer. I just know that this doesn't feel right.
Right. Both sides can be wrong, and she
Mhm.
cannot know what the right path forward is.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And it is very much like our society.
Mhm.
You choose to believe, I'm going to guess, is what you choose to believe is best for everyone.
And that's what's really hard is like trying to believe that, I mean, and you can take that attitude and do the same thing with the descendants. They
Mhm.
choose what like is best for everyone is to kill the kids.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of like there's a lot of people in the book who think they know what's best, right? And what DM does is keep us as readers in check of saying, okay, but killing like this, hurting a little girl, getting her sick on purpose, that's not okay.
Mhm.
And, like there's a lot of, and I think like there's a lot of room for Henry and the Guardians and everything. Like, yeah, they need to fight back. They
Mhm.
absolutely need to help the mortals and they need to be able to like go out there and like do what you got to do to get your rights. However, it's like, she DM sees the destruction of it and is like, this can't be the only way.
Right. It's a slippery slope, right? Does fighting for your rights justify senseless killing or senseless harm?
Especially when it's not like a battlefield, right? It's not like
Right.
that they're going into battle and this is, two soldiers fighting each other. These are innocent lives
Mhm.
that you see at like the warehouse, like people died and she's having to like drag them out. And then, DM keeps referencing the little girl who they poisoned. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter that they were like, "Oh, she's fine." She could have died if she
She could
ingested
have.
it.
Yeah.
And they were willing to risk an innocent child's life for her to get into that house. And, I think this book, one of the themes that it has is there has to be a line somewhere of
Mhm.
what's right and what's wrong.
Mhm.
I think that it's done a great job by we don't have a single line drawn. We just know something feels uncomfy.
Right, exactly. How the current status quo operates is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And how the self-appointed rebels operate is also not good.
Yeah.
And there needs to be discussion and compromise rather than just constantly fighting each other.
And which is also funny because she actually has the ear to the prince of
Mm-hmm.
the country. So, he clearly wants to listen to her and talk to her. He
Yeah.
asked for her opinion. So there is a method. There is a third option that she's not willing to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want your dad to go and fight. You don't want your Henry and the Guardians to go in and fight. What can you do that can potentially help this nation and your people? I don't know.
Right.
Talk to the prince that won't stop touching your thigh. I think that's a great option.
That's a good start.
It's a great start. You could be like, okay, I'm going to have you touch my thigh while I recite to you why mortals deserve rights.
Your penance for touching my thigh is you must listen to me lecture
Yes.
you now.
Yeah. And he's open to it.
Yeah.
Luther's done nothing to show that he's not a nice guy, He's into her. Use your body. I was going to say I'm not saying it, but I am. Just use him. Use him for your advantage. But she's scared because she's attracted to him. I get it.
Well, and this must be, I think we need to talk about DM and her sometimes willful ignorance of what's going on with herself, because I think some of our listeners found her very aggravating.
And now a word from our sponsors. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
One of my favorite things about the holidays is my family's tradition of eating hot pot. And it's just this really cozy food-based opportunity to gather, eat, and be warm and cozy.
Finding the things that make you happy, especially during December and during the winter months, is so important for your mental health. I know for me, I'm trying to find everything I can to combat seasonal depression. I go to therapy, I take my daily walks, and it's so important that everyone can have access to therapy. And that's where BetterHelp comes in.
One of the things that's so important about good therapy is that you learn positive coping skills and how to set boundaries, which is so important.
What makes BetterHelp so amazing is the fact that it's entirely online, and it's designated to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which again is so convenient for this holiday season because I know everyone's traveling, everyone is super busy, and BetterHelp just makes it that much easier.
All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/booktalk, BOOKTOK, and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/booktalk, BOOKTOK. Amy, you know how I've been traveling left, right, and center for the holidays?
You sure have.
The one thing that's getting me by is the fact that I can come home and I do not have to worry about meal prepping thanks to Factor.
Factor has been such a lifesaver for me with my job. I have been working so many hours, and by the time I get home, I'm exhausted. And Factor has easy, nutritious options that don't require me to do any cooking.
The last thing I want to do when I get off the airplane is have to think about my groceries. Instead, I'm able to choose from 6 different menu options, and it helps me decide what I want to do. Do I want vegetarian? Do I want protein? Do I just want to eat a simple, well-balanced meal?
And Factor is way cheaper than the takeout option.
And it's still so good because someone else made it for you. Because it's never frozen. It's always fresh. I cannot get over the convenience of it and the fact that I'm able to eat something like truffle butter, filet mignon, garlic herb roasted barramundi.
It's so important, especially during this time of year, to use your time more efficiently so that you can take care of yourself during this holiday season. So let Factor do the work for you. Head to factormeals.com/50booktalk to use the code 50BOOKTALK to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping.
That's 50booktalk, 50BOOKTALK at factormeals.com/50booktalk to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active.
The best thing about gift giving is when you can identify the things someone needs that they would never get themselves and that they're actually excited to receive.
Is this your way of saying that you're going to get me something from Quince, Amy?
I might, if that's what you want.
I absolutely do, because Quince lets you treat your loved ones, and I am your loved one, with everyday luxury goods, but at a very affordable price. I've actually been looking at their wool coats because now I'm traveling for the winter and I realize I don't own coats. And I am shocked with just how reasonably priced these are.
They do that by partnering directly with top factories, and they cut the cost of the middleman, which means we get more affordable pricing.
And not only can you get amazing wool coats from Quince or their Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which only start for $50, but you also have these amazing year-round gifts like their 14 karat gold jewelry, their Italian leather handbags.
All of the things you listed use premium fabrics and finishes so that every piece feels like luxury.
Gift luxury this holiday without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/booktalk.
Blinds.com Cyber Monday Last Chance is happening now. Don't miss out on up to 45% off site-wide. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 45% site-wide, plus a free professional measure right now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
All right, let me pull up some of these negative thoughts that people things that they did not like. Diem, one of the worst female main characters I ever read, all over the place with no real reason why.
Okay, and I think there were more too, but
Oh yeah, no, there's that one, and then Diem is the most annoying main female character I've come across. I don't know how many times. Where to begin? Diem is so dumb and frustrating. Diem is dumb. Diem makes obvious screams at the page while reading bad choices. Diem, dumb. Hold on, and then there's like another one which I want to see what they had to say. How many times can the female main character refuse to use violence, which results in those close to her nearly dying? They're literally sacrificing people you care about for peace, but peace isn't happening. Just kill them, girl. Sorry, I have a super fuck everything attitude after this election. That's fine. I get that.
that's fair. That's fair.
The entire days have been followed, and I'm like, burn it all down. So yeah, I understand that.
So on one hand, I understand some of the aggravation, right? It is so plain to us as readers.
Mm-hmm.
Diem, you obliterated that wolf. You incinerated it. Like, it wasn't a figment of your imagination. You're not having hallucinations, etc. And that happens multiple times, right? However, from a woman who has been conditioned since she was 5 years old or younger to believe that she will go mad because it is a hereditary disease she inherited from her father, that everything she saw that scared her was a hallucination, that she's had to take medication her entire life, it is completely believable that she thinks she's going insane.
I caught on very early that Diem is very mental health coded. You know, like to me, it was almost like a daydream of, well, what happens if you went off your medication? Things really were magical. You know what I mean? I don't think that DM is necessarily a particular diagnosis coded. I know as someone who is bipolar, who is afraid of my own manic highs, because then that means, I mean, as fun as that is, that means depression's coming. I get really scared when it comes to my medication. I get really scared of, like, if I'm not on my medication, then, you know, I'm going to get really, really high, and then I'm going to get really, really low. And I think that, and that's the thing with a lot of people who are bipolar and other types of mental health diagnoses, people go off their medication thinking that they're fine. And that ends up being a huge problem where all of a sudden you think you're fine, nothing's going on, you go off your medication, and now you're starting a vicious cycle all over again. So, like, on one half, I'm like, I get it and I relate to it. On the other half, I'm just like, no, be on your medication. That's the most, even though I know that's like not, it's not what's happening, but I understand that that feeling of, oh, I'm good, I'm fine. And then that paranoia of, oh my God, what is this thing actually happening?
Yeah. I'm so glad you called that out because I saw the analogy, but the more that I think about it, the more obvious it is to me. She would say how her medication made her feel numb and brain fog and, tamp down her emotions so she couldn't really access them. Those are things people experience when they're on medication,
Yep.
myself included. So wanting to access her truer self makes sense, especially for someone who's been so sheltered. But her fear, on the flip side of the consequences, is also warranted because
Yeah.
she's never had to deal with it without her mother.
Yep. And it is scary because you go off of medication thinking, oh, I'm fine. Everything was in my head. None of this like was the issue. And then things start happening, and rather than this being, in the real world, people don't go off your medication unless, talk to a professional.
Don't go cold turkey.
Don't go cold turkey, and also talk to a medical professional and do it with them. However, in this fantasy setting where, it's suppressing her powers, that's a great conversation to have. But it definitely, I think there is a manicness to Diem that I related to deeply, of knowing that feeling of really high highs, that manic, that aggression, that you have these thoughts coming in and you're doing your best to ignore them and saying, well, if I walk away, it's fine. If I just, take time to myself, I can manage these things. I know how to manage it. And then okay, let's get into her dumb choices. She's not a smart woman, and that's okay. Give room for dumb women.
Again, she's naive.
Yeah.
She's been told what to do her entire life.
Yep.
And the second that authority figure is out of her life, she's like, fuck it all. I'm going to do everything I'm not supposed to. So it makes sense. This is a late blooming rebellious person.
Yep.
A teenager who rebels against their parents. She's just later in life because of her circumstances with her mother. I think the other thing I'll say about Diem and her poor choices is that it is so obvious from her anger and whatnot, she doesn't trust herself. She's never been her true self, so she's never been able to understand herself. So she can never trust herself in those situations. And that plays out for us, including in her choices, because she's trying to learn to trust herself. She's trying to understand herself. And we all make stupid. We choose the wrong friends. We choose the wrong interests because it's the cool thing to do, right? They're trying to rebellion.
It's like super cool. It's what all the cool kids are. Yeah, I see what you're saying. She is a product of what those have made her be. Her mom drugged her into compliance. And I think that that's like a really important thing to point out. I'm going to remove the mental health aspect of it and not try to relate so hard to that, because otherwise because mental health wise, I'm like, be on your medication. So we're going to remove that. We're going to go straight into the plot.
Yeah.
Her mother knew what she was doing, drugged her to the point where she has brain fog, is willing to go along with everything. The family friend, Moira, literally said, your mother knew that you were going to be her apprentice from the beginning. Like, there was no choice. And her mother drugged her into compliance. That is really hard when you think about it. Like, and she never has that moment of realization. She never has that hurt. Maybe in future books that's coming, but I think that as a reader, one of the things that I picked up was how the people in her life who protected her weren't, I don't want to be like, they weren't protecting her, they were hurting her, but they were controlling her, which is something that she's going to have to reckon with. Diem.
Yeah. And we see that history repeat itself with the Guardians, right?
Yep.
Which is when you have trauma,
You repeat it
and
sometimes.
you repeat it sometimes until you learn to break the cycle. And Diem, lacking the authority figure in her life, went looking for another authority figure.
Yep.
Who withheld information from her and used her, or told her, these are the right choices. You need to make these choices.
Yeah.
And there's a huge lack of consent on Diem's part, despite her thinking she's exercising consent.
Yeah, because they're withholding.
Right.
And everyone's withholding from her.
Mm-hmm.
No one's telling her shit. She's just
Nope.
going around trying to make the best choices that she can, thinking that she's just living her life, right? And that's the beginning. Like, Diem doesn't go into this book thinking, I'm going to solve my mother's disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really appreciate. Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking she's even compliant with what happened. She doesn't like it. She's mad about it. She resents it. But there's so many parts of her brain, she even points out, has blocked that off of that actual day. And then you have, like you pointed out, with the Guardians, they didn't tell her anything about about her missions.
Yeah.
Right? And she's going there trying so hard to get their approval. And she comes out asking, is this not enough? Now, she does it all sassy and everything, but her reaction isn't, I got you guys so much information. It's not my fault if you can't do anything. Her reaction is this enough?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that speaks volumes to how she was probably raised with her mom.
I was just going to say that is the reaction of a child who was raised with negligence, who was told they, at their truest self, were not enough.
Why are we not questioning from the get-go, which we should be? Like, I think that's one of the things that Penn wanted us to do is, why is it that Diem never went to this special school? Why is it her brother? Why is it that her brother gets the opportunity and gets to, be there? Why is it that Diem is hidden from the descendants? Why is it that her mother was willing to go in to sell something, to enter a bargain for her son, not her daughter?
Yeah.
And because Teller, her brother, is funny and she loves him, and but Diem is a good healer, and she's fine with it. I think we're set up from the get-go of, maybe this isn't what Diem is thinking, but I think it's like fair for the reader to be like, well, what is it about you that you don't get to have these nice things?
Right. And it's not about her gender, because her mother is fully engaged. There's this very, very clear double standard in her family with her mom, her dad, her brother. They're all involved with the descended. No one else is protected the way Diem is, and no one seems to question it.
Yeah.
Not even Diem herself. I mean, she does to an extent, but not really.
No. And that is hard, because I feel like there might be a dismissal early on, and I think we do kind of get it, and I think it's Diem's dismissal, where it's about her eyes are pale, her eyes are gray, her hair is white. There's this, you don't want to have to keep saying, no, I'm not, I'm not
descendant.
I'm, please don't kill me, I'm sure that's like easily dismissed and everything, but her mother was the healer to the king. You don't get more of a direct connection than that. If Diem was allowed to be in the city and allowed to be amongst everyone, she had the ear of the king. It was fine.
Yeah.
I do understand. So kind of shifting more about Diem's stupidity. Let's kind of go into her. I love her anger. I love the constant fight back. I love that she tries to fight against that. I love the times where she doesn't fight against that. I think that there was a lot of layers and complexity to her.
I think so too. I think, whether it's the thing that's repressed within her that makes her definitely partially descended or partially something else, who knows? We don't know, because it's the first book, but also just her morals. It's not always the whatever secret she has inside her. sometimes it's just, this isn't right and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very complex situation that she finds herself in that she doesn't understand and that we have a hard time parsing too, but I identify with.
Mhm.
And I'm sure to some extent other readers do too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what I loved about Diem is that I felt like she was a unique main female character. I feel like I haven't seen this personality on other female characters in the sense that it was carried through. I
Mm.
think sometimes in some books, we might get the beginnings of these personality traits, right? This feisty woman who's, you can't tell me what to do. I'm just this like the sassy girl, right? And
Yeah.
you lose that throughout. And I think that the question was, well, what happens if you actually get a character who has these personality traits that doesn't disappear?
Yeah.
And I feel like what we see is this woman who is compassionate. She cares about helping others genuinely. Like she cares about her family, she cares about her friends, and she cares about
Mhm.
strangers. We also see someone who is severely hurting and handles that with anger,
Mhm.
right? And then and then another layer to that is you see someone who's not afraid at all. I mean, she's afraid of people, but she's not afraid to say what she wants to say. There's a level to her sass, I mean, she says things to the point that hurts her, hurts the situation.
Yeah.
And I get saying things where you're like, well, I was going for the zinger, but maybe this was too far. And again, those are traits that I see so many times in other female characters and other books, other heroines, where it just kind of like dwindles off.
Yeah.
And this is one where I feel like Penn Cole, the author, was thinking, okay, well, what happens if this really was her personality the whole time?
Yeah.
She's not
Well,
enjoyable all the time.
right. And that makes sense given that she and her family are in this, and the people she loves are in this really shitty situation, and everybody's solution to the problem doesn't jive with her.
Yeah.
She's not okay with it. Like, her anger is justified.
Absolutely. And I feel like her anger is justified, and she's funny. Like, I think that her humor is also very different than the other female characters that I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't put my thumb on it. The parts that stuck out to me is where she's teasing her brother about liking
Lily.
Lily, and her dad is, she's getting her dad to tease him right along with her, and then the brother brings up Henry, and she thinks, all right, well, I deserve that one.
Yeah.
Or like she yells at Luther, like, I will cut your royal balls off and shove them down your throat. I love that so much. But
Yeah.
that's just her, and that never changes of who she is. And I think that Lily does a great example where she tells her, I think my brother likes you. You were mean to him.
Yeah.
She's like, I wasn't mean to him. He was being a jerk.
I was just calling it like it is.
Yeah. And I can't put my thumb on it necessarily, but I feel like sometimes Diem's personality is just such a combination of funny and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And I find her to be very gruff, very against the grain.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't mind it. I mean, maybe because I identify with it, but
yeah, right. I'm like I thought she was fine. I think we can be stupid. That's okay.
Nobody can be perfect.
I think the reason why I'm okay with her stupidity is that her stupidity makes sense from her story. And so whenever there are these bad choices, where she's running around in the palace trying to get to the boat, it's stupid, but at the same time, she got away with the other situation, right? So why wouldn't she think, oh, I can be a spy?
Yeah.
I got into the other house just super easy. I'm great at this.
Honestly, I would have thought the same thing if I were Diem. Like, and that's the thing that I understand people's frustration, because for us, we're like, oh, we've already figured out your entire story, Diem. Like, we know who you really are. But Diem is put in situations where everything she does, stupid or not, makes sense for her upbringing, her background, and how she's been used her entire life.
I worry if I think I solved the problem as to why we like her is we have big egos.
Shh, I don't talk about mine.
Of sense of like self of is my ego big where I walk into a room and I think everyone loves me? No. But is my ego big enough to think that I'm right? Yes.
Or that I'm very capable? Yes.
Yeah, it's like I can do it. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I've done it before.
Our ego
not a problem.
is what led to us buying a saw and sawing apart my furniture
to make room in your bedroom.
Yes. Like you have to admit that takes a little bit of ego to be able to be like, well, no, we can dismantle this giant chair, ottoman chair, piece by piece in our slippers.
Wearing sunglasses to protect our eyes.
We can wear sunglasses and a glove and slippers and just saw this bitch apart. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, I think what she has is ego, an inflated sense of like capability. Even when she doesn't believe in herself, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Sorry, I had another memory of like some of my favorite one-liners when she runs. So I was thinking about like she runs into the building, like when the buildings exploded, and she's there trying to save some of the guards that are in there, and she sees all these people that have died, and she realizes, wow, I did this. I was a part of this. And she decides, I don't want to be a part of this world anymore. And so she gives up and she sits on the floor and she goes, okay, this is it. This is my time. And then the voice comes in and she's like, God, I can't even die in peace. Fine. But like there's a certain sense of ego and bravado where even when she decides that she's going to die, it's kind of like all right, well, this is my choice now. This is what it is. And then when she decides to live and pull those guys out of the fire, all right, this is my choice now. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I wonder to what extent Cole injected some of her own self into this character.
Yeah.
Because it feels very authentic and it's not contrived to me. Diem feels like a real person. And in her mannerisms, the way she acts, the way she thinks.
When I think about the books that we've read so far, I think about Lore. I don't think we'd be friends with Lore. I don't think we would hate Lore. I just don't think that, like, you know, she's an immediate part of the friend group. Diem, I can see hanging with Diem. Like, Diem, and the reason why we're bringing up last week's episodes because we recorded it yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
Diem, I think, can hang. I think she's part of the club. I'm cool with her. So, stupidity and all, stupidity embraced.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Stick around for part 2, which airs on Thursday.
We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred podcast listening platform. If you would like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this winter, please be sure to follow us on Instagram where we ask for listener thoughts and submissions.
If you are enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye.
All right, stop recording.
No, we gotta do the outro.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
The best thing about gift giving is when you can identify the things someone needs that they would never get themselves, and that they're actually excited to receive.
Is this your way of saying that you're going to get me something from Quince, Amy?
I might, if that's what you want.
I absolutely do, because Quince lets you treat your loved ones, and I am your loved one, with everyday luxury goods, but at a very affordable price. I've actually been looking at their wool coats because now I'm traveling for the winter and I realize I don't own coats. And I am shocked with just how reasonably priced these are.
They do that by partnering directly with top factories, and they cut the cost of the middleman, which means we get more affordable pricing.
And not only can you get amazing wool coats from Quince or their Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which only start for $50, but you also have these amazing year-round gifts like their 14 karat gold jewelry, their Italian leather handbags.
All of the things you listed use premium fabrics and finishes so that every piece feels like luxury.
Gift luxury this holiday without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/booktalk.
The search for truth never ends. Introducing June's Journey, a hidden object mobile game with a captivating story. Connect with friends, explore the Roaring 20s, and enjoy thrilling activities and challenges while supporting environmental causes. After 7 years, the adventure continues with our immersive travels feature. Explore distant cultures and engage in exciting experiences. There's always something new to discover. Are you ready? Download June's Journey now on Android or iOS.